Welcome everybody, and welcome back to BSG Online 6. Joining me here today is SuperViperT302. Uh, uh, so yeah, Viper, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I am doing okay. I have been awake for roughly an hour and a half, but that's fine for me because since I have morning classes and I have to be on campus for my classes, well, I decided to be on campus for my classes, then I have to commute to and from. So that kind of helps me kind of get more adapted to that. And
Yeah,
I played
so
under worse conditions.
so Viper, you'll be joining us in a moment to be running Pack and Roll Remix. Now, I know you're generally known for the Mario games, but here you are. You're going to be playing Pack and Roll Remix after the next game, and how did you roll into this game?
Nice one. So I have been a fan of like you obviously like you said you know me for like my expertise in like SM64 and Super Mario Galaxy 2, but I wouldn't necessarily classify myself as like a Nintendo fan. Where throughout my childhood, I was a massive fan of like Namco's arcade games from the 80s. Um, I have a lot of these Namco Museum collections, as you can see, and this is the one that Pack and Roll Remix is on. So this, I believe I got this compilation sometime in around like 2011, 2012. This came out in 2010. And as you can see, it's got a lot of arcade games on it. So highly would recommend if anybody's into those kinds of games. It's got a lot of really good games, but it also has 6 remix titles that are exclusive to that compilation. And Pack and Roll Remix is like a sort of updated variant of the Nintendo DS game Pack and Roll from 2005. So I played through that game casually when I first got this compilation. And I think it was around 2015 when I decided to just start replaying the game again for some reason. And I recalled that there was a shortcut in a level, a single shortcut in a level that I found, like when I just was randomly playing through the game, I found it on accident. So I revisited the level, and then I kind of revisited that, and I'm like, hey, this game might have speedrunning potential. So I decided to go through and route out just about every single level, and then this was like almost 2 years before I ever started like streaming, but I do have like webcam videos of some of my older runs. And basically, I went through, I routed out all of the stages and realized, oh my goodness, this game is actually more broken than I thought. And before I knew it, I had a pretty decently fleshed out speed game. I think the first ever run I finished of it was like 47 minutes. So and I'm the only person who has ever held world records in that game. So
Nice,
it's the
nice.
rest is history from there.
Yeah, so speaking of that world record, you had been pushing that one because didn't you break that by like another couple of seconds very recently?
Yeah, so I set a world record. Okay, so in like July 2020, I did like a derust no reset and got world record because I just happened to be on record pace. And
Right.
then I kind of left the record as it was for a little while, and then in earlier this year, this game's tasser Ilomavi, who by the way, I would strongly recommend checking out the tasks of this game immediately after my run because it is absolutely nuts, and it is like almost 8 minutes, I think, faster than the current RTA record. So in before he made that task, Ilomavi found a shortcut in 4.4 that was actually humanly viable. There's a lot of task only skips. So I came back to kind of just doing attempts. The current world record does have that skip, and there's also just plenty of room for optimization left.
So speaking of, because you mentioned there is some optimizations left, do you think we'll ever be seeing the sub 22 on that in the future?
Hmm. Okay, so what I'm going to say on that is that 21 is 100% possible. It is going to happen someday. But here's the thing. So throughout the past couple of years, I've made these segmented ideal runs where if you understand what those are like, it's basically I play each stage optimally and then splice it all together to see like what a perfect run would look like. And in like February 2020, the ideal run was like a 21:37. and this was before like 4-1 skip, 4-4 skip, and then a couple other optimizations. And
Right.
so I could see the current ideal run getting down to like a 21-0x if I decide to do another one, which I do plan on doing eventually. I just need video editing software. So video editing software that doesn't suck. But the problem is that the game has gotten incredibly hard to get a world record in. Like it's no longer a freebie. It
Right.
it hardly was a freebie before, but nowadays especially like World 4, I think World 4 is just flat out where runs go to die in any percent because there is a skip I will be attempting in 4-1, like I kind of alluded to earlier, that I have attempted in maybe like a couple dozen runs. Not usually, I don't usually attempt it in attempts, but I've attempted it in marathon runs. I've only ever pulled it off RTA one time, and I have a hit rate of like maybe 1 in 10 with it,
Right.
and then there's like several other stages in World 4 where it's like a single mistake is your run is dead, and one of the stages 4-5 involves multiple frame perfect motion control based inputs. So that's always fun. And it's cycle based too, and health dependent.
Right.
And then you
So yeah,
have the World 4 boss fight, which is just full of RNG and you can easily lose like over 5 seconds there just from and to stuff that's probably not even your fault. So I'm currently pushing for like sub 22:10, but sub 22 will happen eventually. But I would be content with sub 22:10.
gotcha. So you already mentioned the motion controls there. Now I've heard this is not your usual Pac-Man type of game. Can you tell us very, very briefly what we can expect from this game?
Okay, so originally, like I said, it was a DS game, and the whole point of that original game is that you use a stylus on the touchscreen to control Pac-Man. I've never played that game. This game is more of you. It's this kind of game where you control Pac-Man with this, and then the Wii remote is mainly you shake it to get boosts, and that's kind of the basic movement in this game because Pac-Man in this game is just kind of a limbless ball, and he just rolls
Right.
around it. And so basically, the goal of each level is to just get to this goalpost, um, and usually you have to collect pack dots to open these green Galva skates. There are quite a few Galva skates that are actually skippable due to exploits. And as a matter of fact, there are a number of skips that are tasks only currently. And some of them I doubt will ever be pulled off by a human. But this game has surprised me multiple times before. So I'm not holding out to the fact that there will be some new big time saves happening soon. But for now, it's just kind of rolling around. It has like almost no downtime too, and it's kind of a cheery atmosphere. I would describe it. It's kind of a children's game. I would say it does have a massive difficulty spike, and it takes a lot of getting used to. But it's very fun, and it's also a decently short run. So I think it's very
Yeah.
easy to get into.
All right. So I quickly wanted to jump from the run that you'll be doing in a little bit to some of your other things because you've been in the speedrunning scene for a while, having mostly for Mario games, having a top time in Mario Galaxy 2, having run a bunch of ROM hacks, participated in relays like the 1545, I believe.
Yeah, I've done the
Um,
1545.
yeah. So what is the run or what is your achievement that you're the most proud of in your speedrunning career up to this point?
I cannot name a single one, but I will say I will name two of them. One I would think is how far I've pushed Pack and Roll Remix. It's mostly been a solo effort with like a few developments found by like other outside community members, but I think for the most part that would be one of them. And then just how far I pushed Super Mario Galaxy 2 to the point where I took third place in mid 2017 with like a high 307 any percent time. The world record at the time would have been Valu's high 301. And
Hmm.
then it took a full 2 years after that with like whittling my PB down to get to second place. And then another 2 years later, I was able to get a sub 3 hour time in that game. So probably those two, probably just my overall progression in those two categories, I'd say would be
Yeah,
probably my proudest achievements in speedrunning.
I can absolutely imagine. So, while you already have quite a number of games, is there any game you'll want to pick up in the future, or any games that you want to still improve in?
Okay, so there's a Super Mario Galaxy 1 any percent tournament starting in November. So I already know the game, but I need to derust it for that tournament, and I probably will try to like whittle my PB down in that as well, because that is a game I think I could get pretty good at because I have the Galaxy 2 expertise and I've run the game before. Outside of that, there are some games I've tried. Like I think I tried learning Pac-Man World 2 at one point a couple of years ago, but just couldn't get the hang of the game. Um, I have messed with Sunshine, but not. I don't think I've touched that game in like a year,
Hmm.
and that's probably just because I have that game. The game disc is currently sitting in my Wii, and my Wii is completely useless because I had to wipe all the data from it to get it to Wii U.
Right.
But so yeah, that, and then maybe there's like a one or two SM64 ROM hacks I might try to play with, but overall, I'm mostly just kind of sticking with kind of improving my main speed games as of now.
So, final question before I'm going to let you go. Since you play so many 3D Mario games, can we expect to see you in a 602 at some point?
I don't want to say no, but Sunshine.
Right.
That Sunshine 120 it just looks so daunting to learn. And the 602 seems like the kind of thing where like I want to be like as prepared as possible
Hmm.
going into it. So it's not like I would need to take like longer than a week to learn Sunshine 120, and I
Yeah.
just don't give myself that time. So I'm not planning on doing this winter one, though I may change my mind. And I think if I am going to do a 602 at any point, it's going to have to be the one the next summer. But I'm not saying yes or no because
That
I
is
think I've tried learning Sunshine 120, but like I said, that category just has so much going into it. And other than that, I think I think if it were aside from that, I think I would do one because I think Galaxy 120 I could learn pretty easily because I already know any percent and I already know a decent amount of the 120 stars, and most of them seem pretty self-explanatory. And then obviously I know 64 and Galaxy 2, those
yeah.
categories pretty well. I have good times in those categories. So not saying no, but don't count on it.
That is very fair. So yeah, thank you, Super Viper, for joining me for this, for getting up even earlier to join us for this. For everyone in chat, Super Viper will be back after the next run, where he'll be showing Pack and Roll Remix. So do be sure to join in for that. That's going to be in about an hour and a half, I believe. Um, with that, I'm gonna throw it back to the people behind the scenes to get us ready for the next game, which is gonna be Concerto, something like that. I hope I pronounced that right. So yeah, do stay tuned while we go back into a quick intermission, and we'll be right back with you guys.